Welcome to Martha Runs the World, a podcast with a new take on running, fitness, and all things health-oriented. I'm Martha Hughes, your host, and each week I present a new topic that is of interest to all runners. Hi, and welcome to episode 313 of Martha Runs the World. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Today, I'm celebrating the 6th anniversary of Martha Runs the World. Yep, 6 years. 2019 is when I started my little show. When I started it, I didn't have any long-term plans or big goals. I just wanted to do a podcast about running. All I wanted to do was talk about running. I learned by doing. I didn't learn how to do podcasting. I didn't do all this research of how to do it. I just started putting things together and learning as I went. And maybe that was a mistake. Yeah, it's a lot more complicated to do a podcast than I ever thought it would be. I made a lot of mistakes and I learned through those mistakes, but that's how I am. I learn by actually working on something. I don't learn by visual or audio. I'm one of those type of people. I'm the type of person that puts in my frozen dinner in the stove and then digs the instructions out of the garbage. Yes, that is me. But the one thing I did want to do and to be consistent about, was to have a show about regular runners, not just elite runners. I think I've been pretty good about that. I have absolutely nothing against fast runners or shows that talk about fast running all the time. I love the elite runners and I love speedy runners. I love talking about fastest known times, the Olympics, Boston, all that amazing stuff. But there are already a ton of shows that do that do nothing about talking about the elites. And that's great. That's good for them. But there doesn't have to be another show doing the exact same thing. And I'm not fast. I don't pretend to be fast. I was a little faster when I was younger, but I was never fast. So that's why having a show with nothing but fast runners would be kind of weird for me, because I can't relate to them. And a lot of the shows that do have fast runners, their hosts were fast at one time in their lives. Maybe they still are, but not me. So I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted a show that would be more relatable to runners like me, who are middle of the pack, like I once was, and back of the pack, like I am now. So I think that's the difference between my show and many others, is that, yeah, this is the back of the pack crowd, or this is who I am, and I hope that you can understand that. If there is a little bit more background noise, I apologize. I do my show early in the morning to avoid the traffic, and I'm on a very busy street, but there seems to be a lot of traffic out early. Maybe they're doing road construction down the way. I don't know, but I apologize for that ahead of time. I've stayed clear of being a show like the other shows. I think my show is different. I think I present unique perspectives and views on things. So I hope I have given you that and done something a little bit unique. I have done shows about elite runners. I didn't say I was going to steer completely clear of them. Like I said, I love fast runners. I've done shows about the Olympics and Boston and fastest known times. I've done all those shows. The majority of my shows have not been about elite runners. I've done shows about a ton of back of the pack runners. I've done shows about walkers. So you don't even have to be a runner to be on the show or to be talked about. Walkers are welcome as well. Running is a giant umbrella, and under that umbrella, there are millions of us worldwide. Every person of every age, nationality, build, and opinion is there. We don't just fit the predetermined mold that many think runners should fit. And this is one of the main reasons why I started my show. I got really tired of the predetermined view of what a runner is, especially in where I live. Where I live, everyone thinks that runners are fast. Everyone thinks that a 9-minute mile is slow, and it isn't. Everyone thinks that you should be really speedy. And I'm not going to say everyone, but the vast majority of runners think that you should be really speedy and you should be 6-minute miles. And that is just not the truth. The majority of people are not anywhere near that fast, even in San Francisco, where I live. But you try to tell that to fast runners here, and they don't get it. They just do not understand that. Many podcasts talk to the winners of Western States, for example, and ask them how they won that esteemed race, how they trained, and all that stuff. How does that help the vast majority of us runners, the rest of us? I guess it does a little. It might give us a little inspiration, but mostly I don't think it does. We're not full-time runners. We have day jobs. Some of us have families. We have many responsibilities aside from running that we have to attend to before we even pencil in our training runs. Not all of us have understanding families who are going to take on all the chores and household tasks so we can go train. Not all of us can afford $250 a month to hire a running coach. Next week, I'm going to get into the costs of running to show how expensive running has become. We're going to get down to the down and dirty of all the costs that running entails. Something has to give. And sometimes we have to compromise for the betterment of our lives and perhaps our families, maybe to do a road race closer to home rather than a trail race that we have to travel to. I lived in a relationship that was not very compromising about running. I had a partner who didn't like me doing all these races, so I couldn't do races very often. I'm not going to get into my personal life, but it wasn't very happy for a very long time. I'm much happier single. Let's put it that way. How about if you're a single parent who can't race at all, but still wants to go out and run, so they find time every night after work at the high school track a block away and still find time to take care of their kids. That's that dedication. And I do know someone like this who actually goes out and runs every night and still takes care of their 2 children. And I think that's amazing. That is such a dedicated runner. I love this person. I'm not going to say who they are, but they are just a really, really wonderful person. And they run almost every night and take care of their kids, but they don't race because that doesn't fit into their schedule and that doesn't fit into their lifestyle because they have children to take care of on their own. These kind of things led me to start my show. My show is all for you runners who may never get to do these crazy, wild ultra races. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't. And maybe you never want to do them. Maybe you don't have any desire to go on a trail. Maybe you just like to go out and do a 5K once in a while and just run a couple miles every morning or every night after work. Sometimes not everybody wants to do trail races. I don't know if after this year I want to do them anymore. I don't know. I'll talk about that in another episode later on and see how I feel. This year kind of changed me. But like I said, we'll talk about all that in future episodes. That is not for this episode. I know my decision to not have these big stars, big running stars on my show has kept me from having big listening numbers. I understand that. And that's the price that I pay. I'm not concerned about that. I don't care about big numbers. Would it be nice to get a little bit more income from my show? Yeah, that would be great. That would be really cool to have a lot of listeners to make some money off it, but that's not why I do this show. I don't do this show to make money. If I did, I would be in the poorhouse. But that is not why I do it. I do this because I love running and I love talking about it, and I really enjoy sharing everything with you. That takes backseat way in the back of one of those super family vans, way in the back seat to the front seat, which is my enjoyment of doing it. If I ever stop enjoying doing my show, that's when I'm going to quit. It hasn't happened yet. I enjoy doing this. I enjoyed it through 3 surgeries, my last being in 2023 after I had my fall. I still did my show because I love doing my show. That's how much I love it. If I can do my show in complete pain, then I can do it anytime, anywhere. Now, I know I have a very small number who are extremely loyal, but thank you so much for being very loyal and dedicated. You folks rock. Every person who listens rocks. So I really appreciate it over the years. I know I totally appreciate anyone who listens to my show. It's always appreciated. What I'd like to share with you are a few things I've learned over the years, and some just from this year about running and podcasting about running. Running this year has been different. Before my accident in 2023, I was driven to go farther and farther. I wanted to do these big, long races. I wanted to do a 100-miler. But I realized this year that maybe I was just chasing what other people were doing. Is this what I really want? My priorities changed. Life changed. My whole mindset changed. Now I don't care about going farther. I don't care about going longer distances. I don't care about being out there so long and doing these mega races. That's just not as important to me anymore. Yes, I am going to go for my first 50-miler in June, within the cutoff time, of course. But after that, I don't know if I'll go for longer than 50 miles. That doesn't mean I won't try for personal longer distances on my own. I might do that. But in a race setting, I'm not sure. And to be completely honest with you, I'm not a fan of racing. I don't really like to race. If you don't like to race, that's perfectly fine. Don't race. No one says you have to race to be a runner. You do not have to race to be a runner. You can run every day of your life and never, ever race. You're still a runner. That's one of the big things that I've learned. All these people pushing all these races on you, you don't have to do racing. You don't have to. Races don't. See, some people really love to race. Some people go out and race every weekend, and I see them, and they spend a lot of money. Again, I'm going to address money next week. But some people love racing, and they love spending the money. They love spending the time. They love the excitement. They love being around a crowd. I don't love being around a crowd. I don't like crowds at all. And I don't really have a ton of money to spend on racing, and I can't travel. If I go to a trail race now, I have to rent a car, rent a hotel room. It's cost me a lot of money, which I am going to do in 3 races coming up. But after that, I don't know if I'm going to do it anymore. I have a few other things I want to do besides racing, so we'll see. But it's just a different thing for me. I don't know if I want to do it. But there's a lot of peer pressure in running to race. But don't feel like you have to because you're being pressured. Don't feel like you have to because your friends are saying you have to. No, say no. If they're really your friends, they'll back off. Seriously, if they are your friends, they will respect your opinion and back off. So many runners like me also find them very stressful. It's stressful to be in a race. It's stressful to watch everyone else speed off down the trail or the road, and you're at the end. I don't speed. I don't do speed racer, zipping like I'm a 100-meter sprinter in the Olympics. A lot of runners do that for their betterment or their worse. I don't do that. I start out slow. No one else does that. I never see anyone else do that. So everyone else starts out too fast. If you do want to race, start out slower. Give yourself a little bit more, have a little bit slower time, and you might find that'll help you in the race. Unless, of course, it's a 5K, and then you just start out as fast as you can. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Training schedules are adjustable. If you think you must stick strictly to your schedule, you don't. Over my years of running, things come up in life. I've never been able to stick to a training schedule 100%. It always changes. As Rosanna Dana said, there's always something. When I was training for the California International Marathon Sim, I got really sick when I was training, so I had to skip some workouts, move stuff around, and it worked out okay. When I was training for the SF Marathon, my dad passed away. Stuff happens. Maybe you have other people in your life who can share the burdens for you so you can stay on track. But is that really fair? Is it really fair for your family to take on all this extra responsibility for you so you can go off and do your run? What do you do for them? What burdens do you take on for them so that you can do all this fun stuff? You need to give your family their time to do their fun stuff. So you need to take on extra responsibilities for them. Don't always make it about you. Just because you're a runner, it's not always about you. I just want to remind you of that because runners can be a little bit selfish. Okay, a lot selfish if they're in relationships. Fortunately, I'm not, so I can be 100% selfish. I like being single. All right. That's one thing, but I also have a really weird schedule anyway because I'm in healthcare and my schedule's so screwy. It's really, really hard to set up a training schedule. I do, and I make it work somehow, but it's not something that you'll ever see in a book or on paper or online. You're never going to see my training schedule anywhere except like on my Excel spreadsheet because I'm the only one who can figure out how to do it. I swear, I work 2 12-hour days, 1 6-hour day, and every other week I work weekends. So you figure it out. Of course, every other week I have 4 days off. So like I said, it's screwy. So I somehow make it work. Now, one thing I've learned is you do you. I have no judgment towards anyone who wants to do this. But if I got a DNF finishing a particular race after the cutoff time, I would not say I completed that distance in that race. I got a DNF, so obviously I did not complete it. That's me. If I was doing a 50K, well, I got a DNF in the Skyline to the Sea 50K. I was 20 minutes over the time, so it was a DNF. So I completely did not get it. But I've seen other people say they finished when it wasn't incomplete. And they said, yeah, I completed a 50K or 100K or whatever, but it was a DNF. I'm not the race police, so what others choose to say, that's what they say, and that's fine with me. I don't care. But you have to decide what is right for you. That's why I say you do you. We all have to figure out what's right for us. So if you don't care about the cutoff time and can still consider that you finished, that's fine with me. I don't care. And that leads me to the next item. It doesn't matter how fast you go. And I've already talked about this, but I want to really, really bring it in. If you care about finishing before the cutoff time, then work to do that. Okay, there are certain things that I would like to get better at. I would like to I'm thinking about it. If I'm going to do a race over again, I really want to do the Golden Gate half over again because I sucked at that race and I wasn't prepared. And if I have to think about this, if I'm going to do a race again, I may do that race this year because if I get the June race and then I don't have another race, I might do the Turkey Trot later on, but if I don't have any other race, I might just focus on that race in November and just do that one again because I really did suck at it year before last. It was horrible. And I wouldn't mind getting a better time in that race. So I might do that race again. Maybe. But if the cutoffs don't mean anything to you, then don't worry about it and finish when you want. Or find a race with very generous cutoffs and then get in before the cutoffs. However, race companies, if you give runners a generous cutoff, you darn well better be there to support them if they're under the cutoff time. Now, I give the Ruth Anderson race big props because when I finished well under the cutoff time, a ton of people were there at the end of the race cheering me on. And I liked that. I was the last person to finish, but yes, they were there for me. So thank you very much. Great race. If you're slower and you want to do a 50K in San Francisco with a generous cutoff, that's the one to do. You all should do it. Really. Now, on the opposite end, the Hunter S. Thompson, not a good race for slow runners. They will not support you. They will not support you on the race course. So if you're slower, I would not do it. And a lot of San Francisco race companies don't understand that slower runners want to race too. We want to race, but you don't support us. So you got to get your act together because our money's good and we like to spend money. So just keep that in mind. And it seems that some of these companies really they have their eyes set on the faster runners, but that's not really where the big money is. The big money is getting the slower runners in because they spend more money. Faster runners are sponsored. Okay. Yeah, you might get money from sponsors, but you're going to get more cash from slower runners. I'll tell you that. One thing I've also learned is that I bought a lot of books, and instructional running books are kind of, I would say they're not for regular runners. They're designed for fast and or elite runners. Most instructional books are not written for slower runners. They really aren't. I wish there was instructional books for slower runners. They have zero clue about what mid-paced or back-of-the-pack runners are. They just are clueless about us. They just don't understand us. I have yet to read one that has an honest-to-God pace for a back-of-the-pack runner. Regardless of whether it's a road or trail book, they just don't get us at all. It's very frustrating. I love books that are inspirational, that talk about someone who had a rough time in life or who had to come back from injury or from mental illness or things like that, and that found their salvation through running. I love those books and I will never stop reading those books. But if you're giving me an instructional book and it's all based on someone who's an elite, I don't care. I don't want to read it. I'm sorry, I don't. It has no place in my life. And one more thing, running is not therapy. If you put in there, running is my therapy, well, then you didn't need therapy, because therapy is something much deeper. And therapy, if you need counseling or therapy, you need counseling or therapy. Running is not a substitution for that. So running can help us when we feel down or if work is tough or we need a break from our hectic lives, but it's certainly not a substitution for real honest-to-God therapy. So if you need that, please get it. It is not a replacement. Those are just some lessons that I've learned over the years, really important ones. So there's some smaller ones, but really, really important ones. In a couple weeks, I'll be on vacation in Nevada. I've decided to drop down to the 22-mile distance at the Bootleg Boogie because I'm just not prepared for the 33-miler. I just don't want it to be a complete suck fest. I'm not ready. I don't want another DNF, and not there. I want to finish it. I mean, it's going to be hard enough going 22 miles, but I know I can get that done. I did go to the Headlands this past weekend and got a great 12-mile run in. That was very fun. a 12-mile run / hike in, I should say. It was really, really fun. The weather was absolutely beautiful. It was like 60, 65 degrees. It was just perfect day, clear skies. And I got a new phone too. It was fun because I got a new phone last week and it has the most clear, it's a Samsung, not an iPhone, but it has the most clear camera on it. I didn't have to use any of the adjustments on it. The pictures are so clear and nice. I'll put one on the show picture so you'll be able to see. It was so nice. And then the wonderful thing about it was that on my old phone, it just used the battery up so fast. I had to take a charger with me, and this time I didn't have to take a charger at all. It held the charge so well. It was great. It was really, really great. And it's light. It's lighter than my old phone and thinner. I love it a lot. And I'm still sore. Oh boy, my race is going to be fun. I would be remiss if I didn't say a word about the horrible fires that are going on in Southern California. My heart goes out to all those down there. I know there's a lot of trail runners and runners in Southern California, and I know so many people have lost everything, and I'm just so saddened by that. I will have a couple sites on the website, links on the website that you can give to if you want to help out financially. I'll just have the couple of the best ones for you. I'll find those out and put those on the website. And if you want to help out, it would be much appreciated, I'm sure. That is it. And everything's on the website at martharunstheworld.com. If you want to email me, it's martharunstheworld@gmail.com. And until next week, let's tie up our shoelaces and go for a run.